Do you speak both English and Spanish at home?
No, I don't speak English or Spanish. I only speak Spanish with my parents.
Only Spanish?
Only Spanish.
Okay. And which language do you prefer to speak and speak most often, and why?
It depends where I'm at. If I'm with at stores or any public place, usually English.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm with my family or really, really close friends that only speak Spanish, I'll only speak to them in Spanish.
So, like, the majority of your friends speak Spanish too?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. So, which language prefer to learn in, and why?
I usually like to learn Spanish first, because once I learn English, it makes sense from the, like, I don't know how to say it, like some new words in English that I don't know, it makes sense because of the Spanish, like the...
Okay. Like the root word, maybe?
Yeah, exactly, the root.
That makes sense, actually. I feel like the Latin language, like the Spanish, it has, like, a lot of influence on English, too.
Yeah.
It's easier to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So, do any of your teachers speak Spanish at school?
Yes. Like, half of them.
Half of them?
Yeah.
That's a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool, though. And have you ever felt looked down upon or belittled for speaking Spanish in an educational setting? And please explain.
Wait, can you explain that?
So, well, because you're at Woodburn, maybe because a lot of people speak Spanish, have you ever felt, like, just by your peers, like, not accepted because you speak Spanish? Or is that not really an issue?
It's not really an issue because most of the people speak Spanish in my classroom.
And your teachers, too?
Yeah,
They're
my teachers.
really accepting.
Yeah, they help you out.
That's good. And then, since attending school, have you noticed any changes in your cultural attitudes or beliefs?
Yes. Before, I wouldn't say any, like, English words at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not even, like, to say, like, baby. Like, I would say bebé.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh.
With your sister?
Yeah, with my sister.
Yeah.
And I'll call her baby. Or I say, like, or whenever I'm talking to my other sister, I say some, like, stop or, like, English words.
Oh, okay. So you kind of, like, intermix the languages?
Yeah.
And does she speak English or Spanish or both? Is she learning?
She understands mostly Spanish because of my parents. They're always speaking to her in Spanish.
Okay.
And yeah, she has trouble understanding English so far.
Well, that's natural though. She's so young.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you think learning in English has affected you and your cultural identity?
Well, can you give me an example?
Well, do you think that since you moved here from Mexico, maybe, and you started learning in English, you've kind of like maybe had different ideas about like Mexican culture or American culture, like as opposed to what you've learned in Mexico?
Yeah, learning is different from here.
Okay.
Over there, you would do your work like handwritten, like you would usually like write the work, the assignments, and here they just give you the papers and tell you to do like a worksheet and just like it's called like you just learn different.
It's just like a different atmosphere, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And same with your beliefs. Over there, right here they give you so many opportunities to learn.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not able to like, they give you like summer school. They give you after school. What's it called?
Just like programs.
Like study halls and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And over there, it's just like basically you're at school and at home with your parents, and your parents need to teach you the stuff that you're not able to learn in.
So your parents are more like a supplement in Mexico?
Yeah, because they're mostly over there. My mom doesn't work, and here it's like both my dad and mom have to work, and they get home late.
So it's just a little bit of different like culture. So that has affected your learning.
Yeah, it has affected my learning.
Okay. And following up to question 5, or the last question, how would your life be different if you attended a bilingual school? Or maybe this is kind of similar because you said a lot of your friends at school and your teachers speak Spanish, but do you think that maybe if you went to a school that was like most of your peers and your teachers only spoke English, it would be a lot different?
I think it would be so much different because if I would have needed help in some way, I would. There's times when I'm not able to communicate with students when they're only speaking English because I don't know how to explain it. There's times when my brain doesn't like. I'm just like right now. I'm like, how do you say something like?
Oh, just like kind of
struggle. Like I struggle to say some words. I'm just like, how could I put it in a way? And in Spanish, I was like, if I can say it in English, I'll say it in Spanish, and then like I go back and forward.
Yeah, that must be so like. I just can't imagine that. That'd be so confusing for me. But
yeah, there's times when I say funny words in Spanish to my mom because I'm thinking about English, and I'm like, and then I end up saying it like in Spanish, English, Spanglish.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Spanglish.
yeah, and she kind of understands what I'm trying to say because she's able to like understand the Spanish word, but the English goes with it too.
And both your parents speak English and Spanish, or just Spanish?
My mom understands English, but she doesn't speak it, and my dad, yeah, he kind of speaks English, and he understands it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, how would you change the American educational system's stance on only speaking English in schools? Because that's kind of, in my class, we're kind of learning about how a lot of, not politicians, but there's kind of a movement towards only speaking English in public schools. But do you think that would really, like, change a lot?
Actually, I think it does. If they would, if they only learn English in, like, for example, me, if I would have went to an all English school, I would be able to speak more English because I would be more, like, pushed, like, I guess if you could say pushed, like, to speak in class.
Kind of like pressured almost.
Yeah,
not,
pressured.
Not in a bad way, but
Yeah.
just like, I mean, it's natural if you're
Yeah.
only speaking English.
Yeah, because during, where was it? 3rd grade, I had an only, we usually I have bilingual class for well, like back then it was like all 4 materials, math, reading, science.
Oh, so all the subjects.
Yeah, all the subjects.
Okay.
I would have them in bilingual. The ones in 3rd grade, I only had it for English because my dad I was struggling for a year to learn English. So my dad put me in a class for all English. So it was really hard for me. But then again, I started learning English, and I think that really helped me. Like just trying to like being pressured to talk to teachers or students that only speak English, and you just like pointing at things that are like, oh, like glasses, like for example, like I'd be like, oh, and they're like glasses. I'm like, oh, glasses. And if I couldn't say it, they'll like try to help me.
So it's more of like a natural like atmosphere than an artificial like bilingual.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And America technically does not have an official language, even though the majority of people do speak English. And do you think it should, and why?
Well, I think everyone just knows that in America people speak English, so it doesn't have to be official. But in some ways it has to be official, so people are like, my mom, since she got here, she did take some class in English, but she wasn't so like, oh, I need to learn English, because mostly right here in Woodburn, there's a lot of bilingual, like what's it called? The girl that speaks Spanish, she speaks Spanish.
Oh, like the waitress?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's people that just speak Spanish here, and that's why I think it affects my mom too, because she's not pressured to speak English. Okay. And once she's trying to speak English, she struggles a lot, but she's able to like talk with or communicate with people.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's more of like, it already kind of is the official language just because it's so accepted by everybody. Yeah. I agree with you. I think that's very true. Yeah. Well, that was my last question, and thank you for answering everything. I appreciate it.